Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our UK run. Last episode we had or didn't have the revolution that was super doomed looking that we had built up our stacks for, and then we never had that revolution. So that didn't happen. Of course, we also noticed the very unusual, I don't think I've ever seen the USA close borders before, but normally it's kind of a winner-take-all affair in regards to mass migration attraction, and we are just sternly out in front with the next person being our subject, who of course is benefiting from the very, very powerful freedom of movement principle. I think this is the strongest principle, and I think it's also playing really well with what we're trying to do, which is we're trying to abuse the amount of authority that we are getting from our vassalization principle and having so many members, which is a kind of situation unique to the UK because we have all these subjects in India here, and we are trying to use this in order to put down a whole ton of edicts. Let's clear this map mode. A whole bunch of decrees. Just to be clear what's going on here, we are using road maintenance, social mobility, manufacturing decrees, and also greener grass in 4 of these states here, which is really causing them to get a ton of people and a ton of productivity in terms of, if we look at the GDP heat map, for example, that should be an enormous percentage of what's going on. If we take a look of the entire world, there we have it. So that's also really big. We also annexed Persia, which I think in retrospect is a bit of a mistake. It's made all of our subjects really mad, and so this is maybe a play pattern we're going to have to play around for some time now. They all have accrued or encountered this rather large malice from time modifiers, this 0.2 for us annexing them. So I think that you only want to... I think that in general you don't want to annex if you have a lot of subjects, and we have a lot of subjects, and so we mainly just want to vassal swarm at this point, I think. That way we can actually make use of these guys and they won't have so many revolutions. But the flip side, the revolutions, if these guys do have revolutions because their stuff is higher, then this will make it easier for us to pass laws. So it does put us a little bit of an interesting spot where we could try and move these guys increasingly towards no migration controls. I don't think that these guys get that through, though, so we're going to continue trying to separate and change laws of our various Indian subjects to eventually allow them to migrate out. But speaking of migration, this is going to be very key this episode. Last episode, we didn't really talk about it, we didn't really show it, but we recruited a general whom we will refer to as the Chosen One. He was chosen, he was the prince that was promised, and he was this guy. He is a humanitarian, and if he is the most popular general when we exile our Intelligentsia, he will become the leader of the interest group. Now, this guy is, of course, more popular. Is this guy our politician, even? No, he is not. So this guy is in line to become the next boy. Hopefully, if we retire him, it's not going to be like infinite negative approval, but we'll just make sure that no one else is eligible other than the humanitarian. But we're going to do this... Oh, we have to exile so many guys. We're going to do this after we finish passing the law we're currently working on, but then we should be able to go on to multiculturalism immediately, and we should be able to benefit from, getting massive amounts of Han mass migrations, which we are currently ineligible to receive, but they do have open borders here in the Heavenly Kingdom, and so we really want to be able to accept these pops, because if you ethnically don't accept them, you can't get them to immigrate to you. However, you can if you religiously don't accept them, so us going state religion is still in the cards. However, a big part of why we haven't done that is for this exact play pattern where we need the humanitarian from the Intelligentsia for us to be able to go on to, not that one either, but rather to be able to go on to multiculturalism. Unfortunately, wow, Charles Dickens really hates this stuff, huh? Alright, well, we'll have to try and figure out some way to get this through. If we could find an agitator for it as well, that would be spectacular. But generally, it is often difficult to find an agitator who supports multiculturalism really aggressively and actually wants to agitate for a movement for it, especially when we're already on cultural exclusion. So we'll see what we can do. Basically, as soon as he gets into office, the general misfires his cannon. By the general, I mean the guy who's helping us pass humanitarianism, which really sucks, because if there was a guy we didn't want to be syphilitic, it would have been him. He's helping us to pass the law for multiculturalism because he's humanitarian, but we'll just say we still need a general, and those are personal matters. Ugh, his cannon misfired. Not like this. And he's alcoholic too now. Jesus. So, we hope that he lives to pass multiculturalism, because now he's got minus 60% health. So we were sitting at 80 Diplo, and we just put in a whole ton of trade routes, which, to be fair, is actually going to create a bit of a problem for us, because trade routes are a big source of lag, but we are very grateful to be getting more influence, which we're going to use to try and hold everything together. Trucial states, we're not giving anyone an embassy, hell no, brother. But here we see, we are having trouble keeping our people in order, and a bit of this would help out quite a bit. But to that end, we can also increase our trade route size if we just dramatically increase the amount of ports we're having. So we're just going to max out ports on kind of the home islands types of areas, and then we're going to also look, hey, wherever we have an insane amount of peasants, we're also going to max out the ports, with the main idea being that with more ports, our trade routes will increase, and we will get more influence that we are getting from the external trade level 2 power block, or external trade level 2. We might even want to go up to level 3. It's not going to affect us too much, but it will allow our subjects to trade more. In fact, maybe we don't want our subjects to trade more, so maybe level 2 is even better. But per level, we are getting 2 influence, and so if we increase substantively the amount of levels we can run, we will also increase the amount of influence we can get from this principle. Unfortunately, we're not doing very well in trying to pass this law, and considering we have like minus 30% enactment time, we have a ton of minus enactment time from events now. It's going to take forever for each tick, and we already have 2 setbacks. We're just going to give it up for now. We're going to come back. We're going to circle back around for the multiculturalism, but in the meantime, we could try and become more legitimate, and also try and become a little bit, have better clout for the trade unionists who we might be able to start recruiting generals that might be humanitarian or anarchists. Either one will do, and so what we're going to try and do, I think, is move on to census suffrage. This will radicalize the gentry, but no one else. I mean, we could do universal suffrage. This is another one that is maybe... Let's not radicalize the industrialists, though. I think census suffrage is enough. I think we'll move in that direction, and I think this will help the clout and the legitimacy, such that coming back around for multiculturalism will be easier. We also tried to recruit a bunch of generals for looking for another backup in case our royalist dies, because, you know, homie can't keep it in his pants, and he's syphilitic, so he's probably going to die relatively early. But we weren't able to find someone, so we'll be keeping to try and do that over time. But we also have a ton of generals right now. We maybe want to do some sort of purge. If we just decide that, you know, one group just has to go, and maybe the landed gentry are going to be kind of the recipient of some sort of purge. Except for, I don't even think we have that much assigned for them. We really would like to get these guys happy again, though, and now they are happy again, but not the plus 10 happy. The plus 10 happy is going to be not what's important, but that does refund us a little bit of authority. We could even drop one of these consumption taxes, at least temporarily, and maybe we can try and suppress these guys out entirely as we come along. We did manage to finish the Manchuria War. We've been annexing people in Afghanistan. I'm not sure exactly what triggers the end of the Afghan protectorate, but we have Kandahar as a subject of ours, and I don't know if we need to reduce autonomy or if we just need to release them and annex them. But we also have Kalat as a subject, Makran as a subject. Maybe it's this little Oman treaty port that's messing us up. If so, then maybe we just need to go for that, or just go for all of them in their entirety. But we could just take this treaty port. It only gives us 0.1 infamy. I guess we'll just go for it, because they're very likely to just back down anyways. They should have backed down. They accept the demands. Okay, is that going to end this great game of ours? Nope. But surely, when the game does end, we will be victors. Finally, the modifier for minus 0.2 times out, and we will be getting minus 0.1 in the British Raj, and a whole bunch of these other guys. That was a little bit of a time, so I guess we just can't annex people for the most part, unless we want to never ever get another person in our block again, because we've been trying to get higher cohesion, because the cohesion would help us to pull other people into our block, and so our ability to pull in Ukraine, despite us building an enormous amount of economy there, has been significantly inhibited by the lack of cohesion. And so I just think we're not going to annex another person again. It's not really necessary. This provides a great base of resources as well as like kind of migration sinks. As the game goes deeper, we have a ton of arable land here. I mean, the USA would have been better like to conquer or something like this, or maybe even Canada, but Persia seems fine, and Persia was the one we had this huge infamy discount on, and so this is going to play quite nicely. We learned how to read as well, and we see that for the Great Game, in order to resolve this, it does appear that we have to push Russia out of the Caucasus, Central Asia, and Persia in their entirety in order to win the Great Game, which seems okay, fine enough. And then we have just been trying to push a little bit here and there, trying to gain a little bit of space. We need to work over and get rid of this Russian area, and then we need to either subjugate or annex kind of this entire block. And of course the loud car outside. The most expensive one will be to deal with them in the Caucasus somehow, in terms of infamy cost. I don't know how we're supposed to push them out of the Caucasus in their entirety. That's a little bit crazy. Maybe we... I feel like in order to win this Great Game, sacrifices must be made somewhere. So unfortunately, the syphilitic moron is dead without being able to pass multiculturalism. So this is super, super sad. We also are sitting on an enormous amount of generals. Let's see. We are just sitting on enormous amounts of generals, and most of these guys are armed forces. And it's not like we hate the armed forces IG, but we kind of, when rolling repeatedly, aren't really fans of having to roll through a ton of armed forces guys. So I think we might purge the armed forces in their entirety, just to make rolling easier. This should decrease their clout and make them insurrectionary for 5 years. To be fair, we don't absolutely hate Republican, except we kind of do, because we are trying to keep Charles Dickens in charge. He's probably going to live like another 20 years or so. Mean time to die is 75. I thought it was 65. Someone corrected me on this, but he does have... scarred. The guy who's following him up, Intelligentsia, not even that bad to have an Intelligentsia guy. So this is a little bit tempting to just purge all of the armed forces. You really want to like not be exiling generals, or you want to be exiling all the generals, because if you get -10 from exiling 5 of them or so, then you might as well just exile all of them. And this would also dramatically help us to pass our laws. I think that we're not going to do it quite yet. I think we're going to try and get through on census suffrage first, and then once we get census suffrage, we will also be kind of nearing the point where we will have our exile cooldown, because we don't have that yet, and so we will maybe be able to go multiculturalism and also really, really push the clout in the direction of, the intelligentsia and the trade unions, because we'll also be on census suffrage, and hopefully between the two of these things, this will work out. We've also been keeping an eye out for an agitator that's useful, but none of them are useful. A lot of times what we've been using our agitator invite cooldown for recently is to get people who are literary and cautious when we're on Parliamentary Republic and put them in charge of Intelligentsia or Industrialist or whoever's in charge, but since we have a king who's both literary and cautious, not very important. So, by the way, Infamy Decay, this is one of the reasons we're able to expand super, super wildly, and minus Infamy Generation, which stacks additively. So we've taken all this, and we're still under 25 Infamy. And also annexed Persia and done kind of a whole bunch of hoopla up in Central Asia, which is what we're going to continue doing, I think. Just looking to annex these guys pretty aggressively and try and push the Great Game. We'll have to push Russia out of here. We, of course, do want to take Baku, 240 oil. Armenia... Maybe we can release Armenia, except Armenia's already been released, so I don't know why Armenia doesn't have Armenia. The truth hurts. But also releasing whatever's here should get Russia out of Central Asia, and then we just need to conquer it ourselves, presumably. Or resolve, like, this Afghanistan thing, which I don't know if that's... Because for whatever reason, Afghan protectorate's inconclusive, but we protectorated this guy, and everyone in here is a subject of ours, in, like, kind of the Afghan area. But, okay, maybe he has to form Afghanistan, and he's not going to do that because we took all the land. So maybe we release and annex them? I don't know. So we've had this South Atlantic slave trade journal entry for some time. I think it's time that we actually do something about it, and so we are going to be banning slavery. Of course, we'll have that not as our primary demand, just our, casus belli, our reason for war. What we're really going to be doing is we're going to be liberating some pretty big chunks out of Brazil. This might be a little bit of a mistake, because currently we're getting influence off of them, from them being our rival, but at the same time, I think this will give us some areas of ingress, and I'm actually also curious if these guys, I want to know if these guys are recognized or not, and now that recognition versus not is such an important thing in terms of expansion, because it's really easy to expand into people that are unrecognized, and so we're going to have a little bit of a go at them. Alright, I'm not sure if it's all the trade routes we put in to try and maximize our, our external trade, trying to maximize the amount of diplo we're getting from influential trade centers, but the game is progressing quite slowly, so this might be either the last or the second to last episode. Also, we started the game on a different patch, and I imagine that never really helps in performance, so how long is that decrease in pollution level? Is that permanent decrease in pollution in Lancashire? That'd be nice for if it's permanent. Alright, we'll just go with it. Not sure if it's permanent or not, but we hope it's permanent. But we're also doing this little maneuver that I don't think we've ever done before, where we're going through Buganda, and then we'll go through Ankole, and then we'll just be able to colonize in through another ingress here than we otherwise would be able to. We could have done this through Funj as well. Play pattern is kind of unlocked by the fact that this only costs 5 infamy, so if it only costs 5 infamy to take this, and another 5 or so to take this, that seems fine enough. We will get another area of ingress, and we won't have this colonization, or we'll overall be able to colonize much, much faster, and so hopefully that's going to help us out. We are coming up on gantry cranes. After that, we're going to go rotary valve engine, not usually one we research pretty early, but we want to make sure we're ahead of time as much as possible, when we're researching, because if there's nothing that other people have researched, then we won't be able to benefit from our NAT spread, and we have built up a ton of universities, and so we definitely want to be able to benefit from our NAT spread. So the plan here is to go rotary valve into electrical generation, because none of the other countries will be researching electrical generation, because none of them have rotary valve engine, and so we assume that they are researching the other tier 3 techs, and so we might be able to gain access to them, and we will be able to turn on electricity a little bit early, but we will be kind of doing the same sorts of things. Like, we could go monitor here as well, which would not be entirely unreasonable, except I think we'd rather go torpedo boats. Actually, let's go torpedo boats now. Oh no. Someone might be researching Djenne Cole. We want to generally be doing kind of ahead of time stuff, and also rotary valve is going to be really good because we are built tall and we are having labor problems kind of in the home base. Another reasonable tech that we could go right now, actually I think we're going to do this, is going to be investment banks. It's unlikely that other people are researching investment banks because they probably haven't NAT spread mutual funds from us, and also the more urbanization per urban center is going to be nice, especially in our areas that are coming on up, because they will be able to get some more shopkeepers, and so hopefully more capitalists after they build their first financial districts. So let's actually do this into kind of the earlier plan, plus the extra company. We do want to slot in the Kaiping Mining Company, that is very, very, very strong, that is from Beijing, and we already have enough to do it, and so this will give us, construction speed and throughput on railways, which is quite strong, as well as a little bit of an extra bump for the coal mines. Alright, we have put in a little bit of a sneaky. We have put in a request for a defensive pact with Ukraine, but before they have a chance to accept or deny, we're going to put in this bankroll, and then when they accept or deny our, defensive pact agreement, we will be able to effectively go into negative spending on our influence. I think that this, combined with the fact that we are over 60 now, might be enough to trend us towards enough leverage to have a... maybe it's not quite enough yet. We're trying to get enough leverage to be able to get in there. So what we're going to try and do here is we are going to max out, I think, if we haven't maxed out their logging camps already, which to be fair we might have, we're going to do that. very efficient at depeasanting, and we know that we have import routes on that sort of stuff from them, as well as we have imports from them for iron. And I think we don't have coal yet, but we can put it in. But we're just trying to own a much larger share of their economy so we can pull them into our block. And so once they're in our block, then we will be able to subjugate them for free. I think I may have been mistaken about what ownership. Rev is changing ownership. I'm really not 100% sure. I think the phenomenon I might have been noticing is that, okay, if we build stuff and we own it and someone else, it's still up for sale for someone else to buy. Oh, this is so gross. Why don't you use atmospheric engine, my guy? You have to have the tech. Do you just not have any coal? Surely that's not it. I think we're importing coal from them. Yeah, that's insane. Why aren't you using the good tech? Oh well. You know, foreign investment problem. So here we have a pretty good example of a time where we would have been able to get a free France as a subject before 1.7.4, but now in 1.7.4 it's no longer possible. If we take a look at become subject, we will see that their acceptance score is -36. We used to be able to sway to one side and then back to the other, but now that military power of Great Britain is capped at 50, we cannot gain any more acceptance score than this 50 here. That's the most we can get from them, and this makes it so that, you know, you can get bankrolls and this sort of thing, but getting protectorates, getting France for free, a little bit harder now. They're, of course, a minor power. I mean, we could, in theory, try and pull them into our block. I don't know if that's even, like, within the realm of possibility here, but it is a little bit of an interesting one. I think that we probably want to fight this on the side of France just because they're still paying us a bankroll. And I think that's probably the way we evaluate this. Flip side is we could get a France, an aristocratic revolt, which is maybe a little bit more in line with us ideologically. Just a little bit. And we would kind of reset relations. We won't be able to become subject. We would be able to get an obligation. A little bit wild that these guys are not willing to give an obligation, but we'll probably just wait and see how the play develops before deciding to do anything. Alright, it's time to see what that journal entry is going to give us. We are going to ban slavery in Brazil, as well as release a few guys. And so I assume that that will end this South Atlantic slave trade idea, because it will complete if it's been not enacted. We get the last voyage of the such and such. With the Brazilian ban on the slave trade now enforced by local authorities in deed and in name, the South Atlantic slave trade has received its final mortal blow, much thanks to the unceasing efforts of the Royal Navy. You know, we probably could have done something like this to try and get approval sometime earlier. Is that decaying, or is that just approval? Relations towards Brazil plus quite a bit. And we also lose the unfulfilled treaty obligations. I don't think we need the convoy rating efficiency, so I think we're going to choose that one. And, ooh, baby. Oh, sweet, sweet influence. Sweet, sweet prince. We can work with that. So that's getting rid of some of the problems now. Minas Gerais is recognized, and these guys are also recognized. So, okay. We might be able to pull them into our block, something like this, but we will be able to work with that. Also, unfortunately, Enor, this guy did a little bit of a naughty, and the whole reason these guys are mad at us is because we annexed Persia. We really should have done that, I think, in retrospect. But they did a subject interaction that gave us -30 in terms of relations, or they sent a demand and we just didn't notice it or something like this. And this -30 relations is causing us to decay back down, you know, into the realm of the loud car, down to -43 because they are the, you know, most belligerent towards us, unfortunately. And at this point, I think we wish we could just release them and just say, you know what, we don't have any intent. Yeah, I mean, we literally would just prefer to have them be free. Unfortunately, we reduced their autonomy, which gave a truce, and so now I'm not even sure if we can release them. We don't want them. I mean, we have to not be involved in the play, so we're not going to be able to do this right now. Belgium wants an alliance. See, an alliance with Belgium is interesting because we would be able to eventually pull them into our block and then subjugate them and then try and annex them. But the problem is we don't want to annex people in that way, we've discovered, so creates a little bit of an awkward situation. You know, kind of just waiting for this France war to pop, because once it pops, we'll just see our way out of it. Although we do want to use some diplomatic interest stuff with France here. Can we bankroll? That's such a cheap bankroll. Alright, let's get ourselves a whole ton of positive relations here with France. Good vibes only. And then once this war pops, let's just capitulate out. Because they're like basically 100% win the war, and I think we will still get to do our trade routes with regular France as well as get our bankroll from them, as long as we're not fighting them. So we're getting the bankroll. I guess we should have double checked to make sure that we had not got it in war. But yeah, it looks like we can't, even though we're not at war, we can't free them unless we have to not be involved in this play too. Okay, yeah, it's probably this play that bricks it. But we do just want to release them if we can. It's just not worth it. We just want to be able to subjugate Ukraine. And we can't do that with these guys getting in the way. Oh, it's so magical. It's like we found a secret passageway in a wardrobe. We are going to be able to colonize into here. Now, we're not going to colonize very fast, but when we get malaria, you know, prevention tech, this won't be the last area we colonize anymore. Instead, it's probably going to be down here. That's going to be the last area we colonize, because we have another point of ingress here starting out, and hopefully we get to push it in a decent chunk. We're not that close to malaria prevention anyways, but this is a little bit of a play pattern that I thought would be fun to experiment with. We're also going to be going after Manchuria again, because they have really nice states that have gold, iron, and coal, and they only cost us like 5 infamy now. So, and we're getting a ton of infamy decay off of good old Charles Dickens. So we decided to just support the French aristocratic revolt in exchange for an obligation, knowing that our bankroll with regular France is going to be up soon anyways, and so it's not too big a deal. We also decided to reduce taxes to kind of help combat the radicalism. We're not getting a ton of bankrolls, we're just getting one bankroll. The GPs are starting to dry up anyways for us to be able to bankroll in any case, because, okay, the aristocratic revolt is going to give us a new opportunity to get a new bankroll and refresh. Italy is kind of really not that friendly with us anyways. We are going to try and do something about that, but we're just neutral with them. You know, Russia, it hates our guts. Austria actually sided against us with Brazil, but now they seem kind of okay in regards to chillness, and so maybe we can get some bankrolls out of them, this type of thing. But I think we're going to conclude the episode here. This episode, we managed to kind of, it feels like small ball, a bunch of progress, but like honestly we're taking huge chunks out of China. And so that's maybe anything but small ball. Probably going for Uyghur next, looking to link up this so that we will pay less for convoys, so we can run more trade routes, so we can get more Diplo, which will be nice. I do think that trade routes are lagging out the game, and I also think that this is maybe because of the fact that we started on a different patch, and so maybe there's a memory leak as a result of playing on an old patch, something like this. So I'm not sure how long we continue this on, but connecting these two seems like a pretty good look. This is probably going to be a really common play pattern, given how good the Manchurian states are, how good the Mongolian states are, and how you can kind of just snake through, you know, into Persia if you ever get control of Persia. This is going to be a way to reduce your convoy load really significantly. I think that this episode, the main story was we were just kind of really struggling off the back of annexing Persia, at least to be able to do any sort of power block stuff, because we couldn't develop any cohesion. Now we're developing at least a little bit of cohesion. We're maybe going to get Ukraine next episode, something like this. But it changed their attitudes towards us really negatively once they got into the high ranges, and we just like haven't been able to rake back a lot of these guys. To the extent that we haven't been able to rake back, like, we're going to continue to like try and improve relations with these guys, but like honestly, like some of these guys we might just prefer to let go and then just annex for 6 infamy or whatever, something like this. And so we might start handling some of those guys like that, but I think it would have been much better if we just never annexed Persia, which is interesting that the play patterns are changing in this way. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. You know, do the YouTube algorithm thing. There are links down below, and other than that, have a good day. Also, if you've been sitting for an extended period of time, maybe get up and take a walk, get a drink of water, something like that. Anyway, bye-bye now.